We hear excuses all the time why chiropractors are not closing their new patients on care. They don't have enough money. There's uncertainty around the election. There's COVID financial problems. No one wants to make any big purchases right now. I gotta talk to my spouse. I gotta think about it. I don't have the money. Blah, blah, blah. Excuse, excuse. Reason, reason. So in this video, in the next minute or two, we're gonna share with you 3 tips to convert your new patients more effectively onto care. So Dr. Gary, where do they start?
You know, I'm going to actually throw a bonus in and talk about 4.
Okay.
The first one is that you really want to get to an agreement with that person in front of you. When there's agreement, you have a basis for communication. You've all been around the dinner table before and there's disagreement. You know, the conversations don't go well.
Oh, it gets awkward.
Definitely. Yeah, so when you have agreement, now that doesn't mean you agree with what someone is saying, but maybe you can relate to them of why they might think a certain way. And so when you start from agreement, you have a platform to actually go off and have a discussion. I would say is number 1.
I would say 2 on that, because I can be a new patient and have an excuse of or a reason not to start care. And I can say, "Now this is expensive," and you would agree with me.
I would agree with you. It is expensive. How would you like to take care of that?
Exactly. So he just agreed and then moved me into the objection handle to the close. Very important. Always agree is number 1. What is number 2? What would you say is an important way to more effectively converge new patients onto care?
I would say the second one is finding out that person's why they are in your office. Really listening to them and finding out, like, how is their present circumstance affecting them, and what, why is it that they would want to actually get rid of that problem? And once you tap into that, you really get into the emotional reasons why they're in your office.
That's important. So make sure that first visit, your goal is to get them to know you, to like you, and to trust you. Help them become vulnerable and communicate why they're there behind their pain. Yes, they have a bad sciatica, or they have sciatica pain on their leg, or they have a sore this or a bum that. But your goal is to find out why that is ruining their life and help patient connect and become aware of that. So do better at that in your next consult. You'll notice your conversions will go up. But 1 more, or 2 more actually. 3 plus 1. So number 3, Gary.
Educate. You've got to educate your people, the patients coming in. Look, they are bombarded every day with take this pill for every ill, easy fixes. And we all know that health is something that you have to keep working on. And when you lose it, you have to work to get it back. You have to get their function back. It's just not about getting them feeling better. You have to improve their function so that their body can sustain after your treatment. So if you also look at the fact that, depending on what you read, chiropractors see 8 to 10% of the population. They don't trust us. See, if the population trusted us, they would already be under care.
So true.
So you have to educate them on who you are, who your clinic is, what you do, what you stand for, what is your why. You have to tell them what your why is, and when that connection is made and you educate them, now all of a sudden, they understand the lifestyle, the chiropractic lifestyle. They're ready to jump on board. So education is key.
That's so important. So empower your patients with knowledge. Again, when they make an emotional decision, they have to back it up with logic and reason. And that's what your education protocols are all about, when teaching them the chiropractic lifestyle and how they can live a better life with vitality and health. And Gary, the plus 1 bonus here before we wrap this one up.
The big one here is building value. You have to always be building value, not just in your report of findings, though it's very important, because when value is built up, money is a myth. As your value goes up, people will, but think of it yourself. You buy things that you value. There's nothing that you don't have that you didn't put value on it before you made that purchase, right? So not only do you build value in your report of findings, you have to continually build value in every interaction that you have with the patient. That's your table talk. That is, when you're talking to a patient, if they're talking about the weather or the sports, you always turn it back into building value. So if someone was talking to me about sports, like, hey, you watched the game last night? I'm like, yeah, it was great. Did you realize that, all of them, most of those players under chiropractic care? I always turn it back into chiropractic and why it's important to be under care. God, the weather is great right now, isn't it? Yeah, it is, isn't it? And I'm so glad that you're actually functioning better so you can go enjoy it. So, make sure that you keep up with your adjustments, because there's a difference between feeling good and being stable. So you're always turning it back into building the value up. And then when you get to those reevaluations, guess what? it's easy for them to continue care because you've been working on that value the whole time.
Love it, guys. So use these tips right away in your next new patient consult and report of findings, and watch your conversions go through the roof and your volume and your revenue take it sky high. All right, guys. See you next time.